you struggle with asking for referrals? If so, you're going to want to listen to this episode. I'm going to break down for you a very easy way for you to ask for referrals, because I have found that most mortgage brokers and loan officers that I've talked to are terrible at this, and it's costing you big time. Hey, I'm Scott Peckford. This is the I Love Mortgage Brokering podcast, and every week I do a tactical short episode to give you something that you can use in your business. This week I'm going to be talking about how to ask for referrals. And so before I jump into that, though, I want to give a shout out to our title sponsor, Finmo. Finmo is a Canadian mortgage application, document collection, submission platform designed specifically for Canadian borrowers. It's very easy for borrowers to use. It's got some cool features like Smart Docs. And so it knows what documents that your client needs based on how they fill out the app. It's very helpful because a lot of people actually get the documents and use them when they're filling out the app. We don't think of this as mortgage brokers because we live in this every day. And what we have found is that when people who use this process, they actually get documents with the application a lot more frequently. It's also connected to Lender Spotlight, which is the best tool for searching rates and guidelines, 7,000 or 8,000 different guidelines and rates in there. Check them out at lendesk.com/Finmo and get a demo, because it's the best way to actually see how it works. Okay, so I want to tell you a quick story before I jump into today. So I went out recently hiking with a buddy of mine, and this guy he's a lawyer. He's under 30, and he made partner at his law firm faster than any. This is a law firm, big law firm with it takes forever to make partner. He made partner faster than anybody, made more money than anybody quicker. And he's really good at building relationships and really good at generating referrals. And so entrepreneurial, in fact, that he left that to pursue a business or a career, his own business in commercial financing stuff. And so we went out for a hike and we had a conversation, and it just reminded me of, man, and he's not that old. Like maybe he's 30, maybe, I don't even know that. And but at the end of our hike, he had said to me, "Hey, is there anybody that you can think of?" Because he had already told me in our conversation, it came up who his ideal customer was. He said, "Is there anybody that you can think of that you could introduce me to?" And then he just waited. And I was actually, because he built such great rapport with me, it wasn't even weird. It was like, "Oh yeah, for sure, I know a guy. Actually, I can think of somebody." I gave him one name. He's like, "Yeah, that guy I've already met," because he's focusing really narrowly on our local market. And I said, "Another person's name, I'll make sure to introduce you to him." And so I thought about that after, and I was like, you know what? The fact that he asked me, most people don't. What they do is they go out, they build a relationship to become the friend, but then you never get business. And that's a massive, massive mistake. When I was a mortgage broker, that was one of the few, I did a lot of things not well, but one thing I did well is I asked for business all the time. I was like a 4-year-old boy asking for dessert. I would ask. And even people that worked, some of my colleagues would actually be frustrated because they would see me generating referrals, and they were better at mortgages than me, frankly. They're like, "This guy's like, he's not even that good at mortgages. Where does he get all this business from?" And it's just because I planted so many seeds that I always, it generated business for me. And so one of the things I can tell you, and I don't always do this, whenever I get a chance to, speak in front of a group of mortgage brokers and I bring this topic up, I'll say, by a show of hands, and you can, when in your car, whatever you're doing right now, running, listening to this, just answer this question truthfully. Have you ever had a client ask permission to refer you? They say, "Hey, is it okay if I send my sister to you?" Or, "Hey, is it okay if I send you my neighbor?" If so, you don't ask enough for business. You just failed. You failed the test, and it's probably costing you a small fortune. Because here's the thing. Customers don't think like us. They don't think like, they're not business owners. Some of them, even the business owners aren't great at referring. But some of them they're better at referring, but some of them don't refer at all. But especially a customer who's an employee, a teacher or something, they don't think about it. They go to their job, they get paid. They know you do your job. They probably think, "Wow, you're successful, you're busy. I don't want to refer you because maybe you don't have time." And so if you ever had a client say that to you, you are not asking enough referrals. And I asked all the time. So I'm going to break down for you a couple frameworks and scripts that you can use for asking for business. Because I did, and I don't think it's a pushy ask the way that I would do it, but I'm going to give you a framework that I learned from a friend of mine, James Lowen, which I think is actually a powerful way to set this whole conversation. Now, he uses it for Google reviews. I'm going to show you how he modified slightly for just asking for referrals, but you can use reviews or referrals, same. And then I'm going to explain to you different places where you can insert the actual ask for business. And so I jokingly say, you got to build your ask muscle, right? Like my youngest daughter is absolutely killer at that. She will ask, and she's relentless. And because of it, she gets, like, I've got 3 kids, and she gets more. And it's just because she will ask and she does it with a smile on her face. And if it's say no, it's no problem, but she will ask. And so you need to get this mindset. You're actually doing your customers a disservice if you aren't asking. And if you still are struggling with this, because you're like, I don't want to feel salesy, here's the last thing that I'm going to drop on you before I break into the scripting, is that you probably know that there are mortgage brokers out there, loan officers that are actually not good at their job. They're incompetent. There's also a percentage, not huge, but there is a percentage of them that are unethical. And so you not asking for referrals means some of these people are going to end up in front of these incompetent or unethical mortgage brokers. And so you have a moral obligation to ask for business. Because if you care about your clients, then you should care about your clients' kids. You should care about your clients' neighbors and your clients' friends. So I'm basically trying to use every emotional lever on you to make you realize you need to ask more often. Okay, so this frame is from James Lowen, and I think it's fantastic. And what he says, he goes, hey, can you do me a favor? And this is in the discovery call. He'll ask them this question, hey, can you do me a favor? He goes through his whole explanation of what they do, how they work, how they help. Hey, can you do me a favor? And people, when you say, most people are like, no, I'm not doing you a favor. They say yes. Now they're already committed, which I think is a brilliant little psychological NLP trick. Then he says, hey, you know what? My whole business is based on, I'm going to use Google reviews. I'm going to swap it out for a second. My whole business is based on working with clients that are referred to us or find us from our Google reviews. And so can I ask you to write a review for me so that I can spend more time working on your file to provide more value and help you with your mortgage? Because then I don't have to spend any time marketing. So he basically frames it in their benefit. And this is a key trick. You got to make everything about them. They don't care about your business, even if they like you. They don't care about those things. What they care about is what's in it for them. And so you need to frame what's in it for them. And they say, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. So you're going to basically, that way I have more time to commit to not going to find new clients, but instead spend it on making sure that we create an amazing experience for our clients. And so you can use that same framework to ask for referrals. Say, hey, look, can I ask you a favor? Client says, yeah, sure. Hey, so my whole business is based on referral. And so we want to focus on creating a 5-star referable experience. And that's very specific language, a 5-star referable with the quotes around it experience. And the way we do that is by spending all of our time and energy focusing on our clients, finding every trick and way to save them money. The only thing that I ask is that if you run into anybody that needs help with a mortgage, please introduce me to them, because I promise you we'll take really good care of them. And so see, what that ask is very soft. And I've set that right up at the front. So on the discovery call will be the first place that you should ask. The second place that I would ask is on the strategy call. So a lot of people that I know, people that we coach, most of them use a two call or two, maybe the second one's a video, but in the strategy session, you're breaking down for them. Here's what you qualify for. Here's what you pay them. Here's your different options, yada, yada. And so even in there, I would still ask, and my typical phrasing would be, hey, if you have any friends or family that use my help, please introduce me to them. Or if you want to be more specific, please send me an intro email, because I want to tell you how to refer me. I don't want to just be like, oh, I saw my sister and I said they should talk to you. Okay, great. Your sister never called me. Right? So what I want to do is I want to make sure I plant very specific language in their brain so that when it pops up, it's like the other thing, you get them pre-approved. They're out house hunting. Hey, it looks like you're pre-approved. So first would be the discovery call. Second would be the strategy session. And then the next one would be, you could ask them hopefully when they're out house hunting, do pre-approval. Hey, when you're looking for properties, one of the things I notice about, when you're out looking for a property, you realize all the other people that are doing it as well. If you happen to run into anybody that could use my help, I'd love an introduction. Please send me an email intro. That's it. It's not a hard ask. And you may think that's not going to do much, Scott. I promise you, if you plant enough seeds, they will pop. And I remember, even my wife at the time, she's like, hey, people would literally I can't get a hold of Scott. I'm show up to his office with my documents. I mean, this is terrible. This sounds terrible. This is because I was disorganized. But I had people show up to my office with their documents because they were trying to be a client of mine, because I would build so much rapport and get these referrals. Now, I would not run it that way now. This was back when I didn't know any better, but that was the reality of asking for business frequently. So that's how you do it. Then you'd ask, so discovery call, strategy call, pre-approval. There's another time, hopefully, if you've got somebody, when a file goes live, it's all done, unconditionally approved. Hey man, it's all done. They're going to be excited. This is fantastic. Can't wait to get into my new place, or can't wait to, the restructuring of my debt's going to be fantastic. Hey, don't forget, if you have any family members, anybody you work with that could use my help, please send me an email introduction. I'd love to help them out. That's it. It's not a hard ask. And you may want to change the actual, who. So sometimes I may ask, hey, if you have any friends or family. Sometimes I may say, hey, if you have anybody, coworkers that you're working with that could use my help, please send an email introduction. You're just going to ask. The other time you do it, 7-day call. So I recommend doing a 7-day call after closing. Check in. How's it going? Hey man, how's it going? Hey, how's the place? Great. Awesome. Hey, don't forget, if you run into anybody, please introduce us. I'd love to chat with them. And they may be like, oh, that's weird. But I promise you, if you do that, they're never going to be like, ask permission to refer you. They're not going to be like, hey, Scott, is it okay if I refer? They're going to be like, no, he wants referrals. And he's totally okay with it. My buddy, Brian, he made like, I won't tell you how much he made because I know because it's confidential, but he made more than the vast majority of mortgage brokers in his last year as a lawyer. And he was young and he just went out and he built relationships and he would ask for business when most people wouldn't ask. So that conversation with him reminded me of, oh yeah, I want to talk about this. And then the other time is anytime clients are happy, solved a problem. Hey, it looked like it was the lender that said no. I was able to pull some strings, made a call, and they go, oh man, thanks so much, Scott. That was fantastic. Hey, don't forget. And if they can repeat it, then they got it. If you know anybody who could use my help, you're going to send me an email introduction. Yes, I know, Scott, I'll do that for sure. No problem. Put a smile on your face. You can literally say almost anything with a smile on your face. So that's how I would frame this. So there's a discovery call. There's multiple other places. The other thing I can tell you is that, so Wally, one of my buddies who's down in Texas, he asked for referrals. This is just asking for intros. He's also introducing, I'll do this on a future episode. I'll break down his whole model because I think it's actually the best mortgage business model I've ever seen. But in any case, he's got 8 different times during a purchase. And no, it's 9 times during a purchase, and I think 8 times during a refi where they actually ask for business. His business has gone from every year, even in all these down markets that we've seen with the rates going up and the purchases dropping off a cliff. His business has increased every year. They ask. It's that easy. It's not rocket science. Most mortgage brokers, and I'm going to speak to my Canadian mortgage brokers here. I'd say my American mortgage broker listeners are like, yeah, Scott, do it all the time. No big deal. I promise you, most of my Canadian mortgage brokers don't do it. We're way too damn polite. So we're like, oh, I don't want to ask. I just want them I'm going to service them and take care of them. And they're going to know to refer me. No, they're not. Because this is my last thing to leave you with. I promise you, there are people that you work with. There are vendors, and maybe not in the mortgage space. Maybe it's somebody that you get your haircut with or your car done, and you think they're awesome. And if you are honest, and you think back over the last 2 years, that you have sent them 0 referrals, right? Because you're not thinking about them every day. And so I think it's important as a mortgage broker to ask, do it. I promise you it'll grow your business. Thanks for listening. And as I always say, hey, there's no problem in your mortgage business that somebody else hasn't already solved. Your problem is who's got the answer. Hopefully this podcast gives you some of those answers. Thanks for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.